Call the meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Councilmember Fickman is absent. We'll move on to approval of the agenda. Is there any changes or corrections to the agenda?
Just those updated staff reports.
Okay, we got the two updated ones, 7D and 7E. Council have anything? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Scott. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Approval of the minutes of the March 18th, 2026 regular meeting. You received them in your packet. Is there any changes or corrections? Actually, that should be April 1st meeting, not March 18th. April 1st meeting, not the March 18th. The agenda says March 18th, but it's actually the April 1st.
Oh, let's see.
If there's no changes or correct clarification needed, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the April 1st regular meeting? Motion by Brad. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Approval of the minutes of the April 6th, 2026 special meeting. Is there any changes or corrections within those minutes? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve the April 6th, 2026 special meeting?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Heidi. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Scott. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 3 in favor, none against, 1 abstention. This brings us to our public open forum. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council?
Matthew Schmitz, 220 Oak Street. I came here to say that you have failed to offer the child any compensation for the pain and suffering endured due to the gross negligence of your police officers that resulted in the child being sexually abused. Your officer was supposed to bring the child to a licensed foster care provider, but instead left them at a home with a bunch of criminals and perverts. This den of inequity featured a woman with multiple sexual partners, both in and out of the home, and these people were involving the children in their romantic and sexual relationships. In the home, this child was abused. When the child came forward with this, Van Walde turned around and did everything he could to protect himself and the others involved. He had a promotion coming up, and this child's allegation was going to jeopardize that. In a meeting with members of Janelle Kendall's office and social workers, they worked out a plan to silence the child's testimony of abuse. Not only did Van Walde break the law by not reporting this child's allegation or investigating the matter, he continued his services by orchestrating and facilitating the transportation of this child out of Stearns County and back into the hands of those very same people who sexually abused the child the first time. And the sexual abuse of this child started all over again with these same men and women. Dustin Van Walde was the catalyst of this child's sexual abuse in these homes. Everyone involved knew what they were doing was wrong, but did it anyways. And this is the kind of white glove service that Van Walde provides to these people. We sit here today with simply no idea of just how many children he has done this to, How many cases of child abuse has he covered up for the Stearns County Human Services? How many have had to suffer so that he could get that promotion? I am proposing that the City of Sauk Center pay this child restitution in the amount of $20,000 for the sexual abuse, neglect, and domestic violence that they had to endure due to the actions of your police officer and your police department.
Okay, is there anyone else who wants to speak to the council? Call a third time. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to the council? Our public open forum is now closed. We have no public hearings. We move into our reports and presentations. Police Department monthly report. Joe?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. If you look in your packet, you got the March 2026 activity report. Some of the highlights are bigger numbers there. 15 alarm calls, including a few extra fire alarms on top of that. It's a little bit higher on the alarm side of things. We respond to 18 medical emergencies, along with another 14 welfare checks, 488 traffic stops, responded to 14 called in suspicious calls, one tampering with motor vehicle call, school bus stop arm violation, and then a bunch of the miscellaneous smaller numbers for a total of 983 for the month, which just kind of shows what's going up with the weather. Activity will pick up. Other news, we wrapped up most of our post-mandated trainings. We got a couple more coming up in the next couple weeks to make sure we're on board, staying up to the Minnesota State Post Board standards. We have been doing some extra stuff too. We sent one officer to the Minnesota Death Investigations Conference for a couple days, which was a good training there. I've been at the Chiefs Conference throughout this week, just getting my updates and meeting with other chiefs around the state. We're sending an officer to a specialized financial crime training for 30 hours at the end of the month, which we got a grant for, which is free, so that covered hotel, cost of training, food. We're just paying his wages, which we're just pulling off the street to send it to him, so that'll be good. And we got a few other officers heading to some different miscellaneous trainings for the next few weeks, and then we kind of buckle down and get busy with or get ready for a busy time of the year. So it's kind of really focusing on training here the last couple of weeks and the upcoming weeks.
Okay.
Any questions?
Questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
It looks like it was your second highest March in 19 years.
Yep.
Any thoughts why that might be?
A lot of proactivity. When you look at it, when you look at like last year, I'm in the wrong section here. Yeah, last year 914. It was a little bit warmer, a little bit nicer temperatures, which helped a little bit with call activity. But yeah, we're up 760 from last year. So I don't have a solid answer why, but we're not doing anything different.
So proactive policing is just more traffic stops.
No, not necessarily. Yeah, traffic stops are involved, but a lot more of getting out at the school events, going into the hospital. So anytime the officers go out to the nightly, we check in at the hospital, we check in at Walmart, the truck stop. Some of our 24-hour businesses where we'll go and we'll either go inside and check in, or we'll make sure we spend specific time in their parking lots or areas they may be concerned with. So it's not always, proactivity is not always strictly enforcement based. It is community engagement as well. So yeah, I mean, we're out there making traffic stops, but we're also out there trying to create positive interactions with people too, not just that we're out to enforce the law, or out there to pull you over, but we're out there also to check in, see how things are going.
Thank you.
Okay. I just had one concern from someone for speed control again on Hickman Drive from the splash pad going west down to the first corner. So if you want to have the guys start watching that.
We'll do that, and we'll maybe, get the speed sign down there too. That speed sign sure helps that portable one we got.
Yeah,
We'll put that up so we can start shuffling that around.
yeah, just another concern, so. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Public Works Department, Ben?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This past month at the arena, we had 3 dry floor events. All went good, no building issues on our end, and sounds like the events were successful. Park stuff, the pier, we shifted that back into place after the ice was off the lake and got the ramp set on the sidewalk leading up to it so people can use that again. The poles are put in the lake bottom and the cables are removed. We put the boat landing dock in along with 2 other docks in the campground. There's a few left to go yet. The arena ball fields, they received their spring grading and dragging of the lime. We met with the Baseball Association about installing the new scoreboards at J.C. Park and both arena fields. The Youth Association purchased those and the parts all arrived. They're in our storage building. So sometime in the next month or so, we'll hopefully be getting those put up and installed. Bathrooms are open only at the arena right now to the outside. The other park bathrooms are going to be open next week. Looks like the last bit of cold weather on Saturday, so we don't want to have any pipe issues, and so we're going to wait till next week on that. Campground, we did put new grout in at the tent bathroom showers to spruce those up and get some more life out of them. We leveled and cleaned the campsite pads and swept the roadway. We've got some grass maintenance and a few other things to accomplish before the season opens in a couple weeks there. The library window project, all the windows in trim are in. The contractor's totally done with that project. They said it went smooth on their end, didn't run into any major surprises or extra repairs that needed to be made. They did finish ahead of time, which was great, so we could get the library and the Historical Society back up and running. We ordered some new blinds, put some samples up now, so we're just getting feedback from the staff at the library and what they like, and once we find that out, we'll get the rest of that stuff put back up so they're totally back up and running. Street department, we poured a new concrete pad in Author's Edition. That's where the 3 community mailboxes are going to be installed on that, so those will go in next week. Compost pile, we had to move and stir that, create the 2 extra piles and create an opening for everything that's going to come in this spring. I did talk to Flowers again. They're going to be grinding that brush pile sometime mid to late June, so that continues to work well for both of us. Hopefully that continues to go well in the future. Our street sweeper, we made our initial pass around town. If you recall from last fall, we had a lot of warranty work completed due to some issues we had with the performance of the sweeper. So I'm happy to report that it is now working to our expectations and performing well. So we're very happy that we're at this point with that. We had several snow events that also happened last month that required cleanup. Our pole shed warehouse, we had numerous boards that were water damaged along the bottom where the dirt was placed against them when it was built. So we removed all that, excavated the dirt, put new boards in, new waterproofing, and put drain tile in to help prevent that damage moving forward. We did about a dozen street signs that were no longer legible, so those were replaced. We had 2 stop signs that were replaced that had been hit by cars. We did pothole patching on the areas that were in need again. Once hot mix is available, hopefully the first week of May, we'll go after all the smaller holes on the street. The winter mix that we have doesn't work on those very well. We did have a sinkhole open up next to a storm sewer on 1st Street North, so we have the locates called in for that. Planning to get that repaired this week. Alleyways, currently hauling a lot of Class 5 where needed and box blading those level. We swept all the grass areas next to the gravel roads and alleyways that had gravel pushed onto the grass from winter plowing, so those are all cleaned up now. And next couple projects, crack sealing is scheduled to begin next Monday, April 20th. They should be done next week. I let Aztec know that's the tentative schedule. I haven't heard back from them when they're thinking about coming, but it's great they'll be here to get the crack sealing done ahead of time at least. And the senior center project, that roof has been on for a month now. The trim contractor is scheduled to start the 1st week of May. So that'll all be done hopefully early May.
Okay.
Any questions I can answer?
Questions? Concerns? Okay, thank you. Planning Commission. Sarah?
Good evening. At the last Planning Commission meeting, we did have one public hearing for areas for a fence, and then the detached accessory structure that the council remanded back to the Planning Commission has now made a recommendation to the City Council. Building permit report. So for March of this year, we issued 23 permits with a total construction value of $2.5 million, and $1.8 million of that is the new Quick Trip store that we issued a permit for. Zoning permits, we had a few of them, but that's starting to pick up. And let's see, any other questions you have for me?
Questions, concerns? Okay, thank you. Okay, Ambulance Department, quarterly report.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. How you doing? Sorry about that phone call. It was actually an ALS transfer coming in. Just quick going over our numbers. We are down one call from last year. And as you remember, last year was a banner year for us, was our busiest year to date. Call volumes have been just kind of or call distribution has been pretty much the same throughout. We did have a little blip in last month with ALS transfers, going from the previous 2 months, a total of 6 to then adding 12 to it in March. So that was I don't know, it was surprising. I know I felt busy doing it. On our billing, we've billed out just shy of $300,000. Collections are just a little bit over $100,000. We're still catching up from the fourth quarter of last year on our collections. Then on our current staffing levels, we are, I would say we're fully staffed with 1 EMR. We have 20 EMTs and 7 paramedics. We have 1 nurse that's finished up a couple certs that he wants to come over and do ALS for us as well. He currently works at Lifelink with Nicole Rusbrock. Sorry about that, that's the ALS transfer. We've had some interesting long-distance transfers this first quarter. We had 1 to Hibbing, 1 to Brainerd. Then with the closure of the detox in St. Cloud, we took a detox down to Granite City. We had 3 go to Thief River Falls, then Little Falls, and 4 go to Long Prairie. Like the Little Falls and Long Prairie was, and the Brainerd was because St. Cloud was full, so they were trying to find placement for patients here. We had 1 significant call. That was the double fatal we had just north of El Rosa, the second day of the year. And it brings in stark reminder of how close it can be, because actually one of the parties involved was a close family member of one of our members. Medicals taken to other hospitals other than Sauk. We did 1 going to Alamere and Alec. That's 1 that I took. That was an accident up there in West Union. Then we took 1 to Melrose. Then the mutual aid, we helped out Melrose on a couple ALS transfers. Then north, and they've been calling us a fair amount in Osakis, helping them out in their nursing homes over there. One thing I did not add in there, I'll go on and some training-wise, we've added some BLS scope, or some scope to our EMTs. They just have D10, so sugar they can give IV, which helps with our diabetics. Before that was a paramedic scope, and now the EMTs can do that. Then also some respiratory drugs that can start it up this year for them. Then special events. We have 3 of our members teaching the first responder class at the high school that they're having every quarter for, I believe, the juniors and seniors. Then we just did CPR in March, then the fourth quarter CPR for the school this month, coming up next week. That's about all I have right now. Is there any questions?
I have one question. What was collected from 2026 to 104,000 basically? How much has been collected or still remains to be collected? Do you know? Is it
That I do not
20%,
know.
50%? Just curious in future
Typically,
reports.
we're about 60% collections to build,
Okay,
I mean, over the history. So we're below that benchmark. And I haven't got that deep into it as to why just yet, if it's a delay in the billing or if it's a change in how we're getting money.
gotcha. Just curious how long once we bill before we start to, see those dollars come back, if it's 6 months or 9 months?
It's 6 months might be a little bit on the long end, depending on some of the insurance companies, and maybe some of the errors that we may have on our paperwork that we have to correct.
Gotcha. All right, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Move on to action items. 7A, approve resolution 2026-26 granting variance to Jessica Flottam.
So the Planning Commission, acting as the Board of Adjustment, conducted a public hearing at its regular meeting on April 8th
to consider a variance request for Jessica Flatham. The property is located at 402 Elm Street South at the corner of 4th and Elm. The request is for a variance from the road right-of-way to allow the construction of a privacy fence connecting the house to the garage. It's a corner lot, so it would be on the side lot side. City ordinance requires a 30-foot setback from the property line. The request is for 13.4 feet. The house is actually sitting at 19.4 right now. I did put an aerial photo in your packet as well as a copy of the survey, and then she did draw in where she wants to put the fence. After review of the proposal, the Planning Commission recommends that the request be granted to allow the construction of the fence at 13 feet 4 inches from the north property line adjacent to 4th Street South. In your packet, you also have the resolution, which is the findings that they utilize to support that, and then the conditions as well, which is the void after 1 year if they don't proceed, and then they can't have the same or essentially the same variance within 6 months if we do deny it. So that's Resolution 2026-26, approving the request for a variance for Jessica Flatham.
Okay, questions, concerns? Everything was, if it's granted and they put the fence up, they understand what all the guidelines are, right? Where if it's a wood fence, the good side's got to be
Good
facing
side,
out.
yes. And that'll all come through with the permit.
With the permit,
itself.
okay. Okay, any other questions or concerns? If not, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2026-26?
So moved.
Motion by Brad, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Scott. I heard you first. Any last minute discussion? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7B, approve Resolution 2026-27, granting variance to Kevin Tomes.
The Planning Commission had previously denied a request for a variance by Robert Toms for a detached garage during a public hearing conducted on March 11th. On the March 18th City Council meeting, the City Council remanded the request back to the Planning Commission pending changes submitted by Mr. Toms at the council meeting. At its April 8th meeting, the Planning Commission reviewed the amended proposal. The initial proposal was for a detached garage of 2,400 square feet where 1,200 is allowed, with an overall total of 3,000 square feet where 18 is allowed, that is when combined with the attached garage. The revised proposal is for a detached of 1,920 where 1,200 is allowed, and an overall total of 2,520 where 1,800 is allowed. So that's at 720 square feet over maximum when they are combined. In reviewing similar variance approvals over the last 5 years, the average variance over the 1,800 square foot maximum was 666 square feet, with a median of 250, which means half or more than half or less. So there was some higher ones that brought that average up a bit. And this request, of course, was 720. The Planning Commission voted to recommend approval of the amended variance application with conditions that the existing detached storage building be removed, that all roof water drainage be directed to the rear of the lot and away from the neighboring property, that no part of the garage may be used for human habitation, and that 2 lots be combined into 1 parcel. And that is in front of you as Resolution 2026-27, approving the variance request for Kevin B. Toms.
Okay, questions, comments?
Just as, you know, on the planning and zoning, we did spend quite a bit of time reviewing this, and it was, I mean, there was changes made. Kevin made changes to, you know, based on his feedback from staff and our feedback back to him. And so he did reduce it. It was not unanimously voted on. We had one council or one committee member opposed, but it did pass 4-1. So just wanted to be aware.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? Basically, the 720 square feet over the maximum is because he's connecting the 2 lots?
The 720 square feet, our reasoning is it's, yes, to answer your question, it is combining.
Because
the
you're
lots.
combining both lots, so it's a
Exactly.
larger lot.
It's a larger lot.
Okay,
Yes.
that's,
Which it has to be anyhow.
Yeah.
'Cause it has to have the living quarters, and otherwise if it's a single lot, isn't it by itself?
Right.
You can't have a shed on a single lot.
Right.
But I know the average is usually only 200 to 250 square feet over the top, and I'm just trying to understand
Yep. No, it
the
makes sense.
reasoning. So,
With the other findings as well, obviously, but yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right, okay,
But that was the primary discussion point.
okay.
Sorry about that.
Is there any other questions or concerns? Do I have a motion for Resolution 2026-27?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Heidi to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Brad. Any other discussion? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Motion carries 3 in favor, 1 against. 7C, approve Resolution 2026-28, authorizing purchase of toolcat.
So the 2026 budget includes $70,000 for the replacement of the 2019 toolcat with the attachments. 2 bids were received for the proposed purchase, with Farm Right proposal utilizing the state bid discount and Swanston using the Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing discount. The retail price for the toolcat is $95,794.46 plus freight. The toolcat bid itself, Farm Right at Long Prairie, their gross with the discount was $68,980. They are allowing $33,000 on trade for a net cost of the toolcat of $35,980. Swanston of Alexandria, they bid $69,570.66, but they gave us $35,000 in trade, so resulting in a low bid of $4,570.66. For the broom and the snow blower, it flipped. Farm Right actually had the low bid. Farm Right of Long Prairie had $6,700 with a $3,000 trade, and Swanston had a $67,0340 price with a $2,500 trade, so that leaved a net of $3,700 for the broom. The snow blower, Farm Right had $6,500 with $2,900 trade for a net of $3,600, and Swanston had $64,9944 with $2,500 trade for a $39,9944. So we kind of have 3 different pieces here. The toolcat itself, the low bid was Swanston, and the broom and the snow blower, the low bid was Long Prairie. So that's the proposal that we have. The overall cost, if you purchase it from the same dealer, would be, if you combine them together, would be $42,773.50. But if we break them out and purchase them from the opposite dealers, then the total is $41,870. I know that's a lot of math, but
It's like
we did get
$900.
down into,
Yeah.
we got pretty deep into the weeds to try to get the best deal that we could. So $41,870.66 is the overall total cost for the toolcat with both attachments. It was reviewed by the Operations Committee. We did have a tied recommendation though, so this did not come back with a recommendation one way or another. So we're looking here though to approve that resolution, 2026-28, authorizing the purchase of the toolcat with the attachments.
Okay? Questions? Comments?
Dan, is it a big deal if you get the attachments from Long Prairie and the toolcat from Elk? Is that a big deal for you? No. It's not? Okay. Yeah, $900 difference isn't a lot, but if it's not a big deal, then obviously money saving is money saving. So, okay.
So obviously we had a difference. I personally am not in favor of moving forward with the purchase. I realize it might be in the budget at $70,000 or whatever we budgeted for it, and this is far less. I get all of that, but in all reality, it's still low hours. There's no major issues with it that I'm aware of. We have a mechanic that's on staff that if we have repairs, we can fix them. And in all reality, yeah, they're giving us $33,000, but they might give us $32,000 next year and $31,000 the following. Where do you draw the line, and how often are we going to keep spending more and more and more dollars on new equipment when really, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Ben, but we're replacing this because we are getting to high hours in our minds, 2,000 hours roughly, just shy of that. And we're anticipating there could be costs that we're not aware if we will have the costs or not.
Right, so 2 factors. The past toolcat that we had, when we got above 2,000 hours, we had reliability issues, which is problem number 1. We don't want equipment to be down when we need it. It needs to be operational and running. and it started to get really expensive. Every time I had to go in, it was a $2,000 fix every time. One hose to replace on that thing, you have to rip the entire bottom of that machine apart. And it's 8 to 10 hours worth of labor. And yes, we have a mechanic, but if it's snowing, I don't have a mechanic to throw on this. He needs to be doing his work on the streets or the sidewalks or wherever the case may be. So in those situations, it's going to a dealer and we're paying $140 an hour labor rate to have that done. So that adds up in a hurry. We did have an assessment done on it. That's how the trade value came back from Swanston. They gave us an assessment of the machine and what they felt it needed for repairs. Are things fluffed up on some of those? Absolutely, I would agree. But it was like $11,000 worth of stuff that they came up with between parts and labor that could or should, in their eyes, be replaced. And they're probably gonna do some of it when they trade it in, of course, before they sell it to somebody else. But I totally understand where Brad's coming from, and that's the hard part. Where do we find the balance of, we have a good trade number, and it hasn't cost us a lot of money in repairs yet, but it's coming. And is this a year where it's $2,000 or $4,000 in repairs? And then we spend $4,000 in repairs, and now the trade-in price is $31,000. So now it just costs you $6,000. Where, you know, we're able to buy at a pretty sweet price off of retail, what a normal customer buys. So that puts us at a really good advantage to start with. And I feel like just based off of our past history with this machine and talking to the other dealers, we're kind of in the sweet spot of, it hasn't cost us a lot of money in repairs yet. It's coming, and we have a really good trade price, so that's why I recommended moving forward with doing this now before we have those issues. And like I said, I just want to reiterate, we want to have stuff that is not down. We want to have things that are working reliably, because we don't have a ton of extra stuff. Like, we have what we need to get the job done. When something breaks, we don't have something else just sitting at the shop to bring out and fill its place. It's down and out. Now we're taking a different piece of equipment that should be doing a different job, and it's got to do 2 jobs now. So that's part of the reason why we're asking for it.
So if you had preventative maintenance on a regular schedule, right? I mean, obviously, we have maintenance, we do maintenance on it, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure.
And so based on the type of maintenance, always has to do with the type of repairs you end up. If you have poor maintenance, you have bigger repairs, quicker repairs, all those types of things. And so I believe we do good maintenance.
For sure.
So, you know, that being the case in my mind then tells me that, you know, we should get 3,000 or 4,000 hours out of it. If we have good maintenance, we should get better time than the average. So that's just, again, maybe a difference of philosophical views, probably. But I also think that, you know, we spend a tremendous amount of money on capital equipment. And to me, it seems like we are on a pretty consistent basis of purchasing new on a very elevated, rapid pace. So, well, that's my feelings.
Any other comments?
If you were to calculate the cost of owning a tool cat, just in general, what is the yearly rate and across its lifespan?
I mean, just maintenance-wise, normal maintenance stuff, you're gonna spend $1,000 a year on filters, oil, and lubricants, and the normal stuff that we use on a regular basis. This year, we have tires coming up, that's gonna be $1,200, that's gonna have to get done before summer. This past winter, we had an electronic issue. Electronic issues we can't fix. They have to go to the dealer. That was $1,000. And it was a simple fix, but it was just something that we couldn't do. And as things trend to be more electronic going forward, the older it gets, the more likely you're gonna have those electronic issues. And that's the other part of why we consider trying to get rid of this stuff before it becomes a big headache for us.
How many hours approximately a year do you put on?
This machine is
6 years old, so
300-ish,
Yeah.
350, yep.
which is probably a lot more than what a regular consumer like myself would put on it by,
I mean, a
Long
homeowner,
shot.
obviously, but a contractor would be probably more than us.
Right.
It just depends on the use, but this is one machine that we use year-round, spring, summer, fall, winter,
And a lot of the wear and tear comes from how it's being used. You know, if you're blowing back snow banks and doing the trail all the way out to the cemetery going east of town, and that's full, that's where it's getting used. So that adds on to the wear. And I kind of have to look at the fact that if it's down, it's costing us money. irregardless if we fix it or if the dealer fixes it. It actually is gonna cost us more if a dealer has to fix this because it's an hourly rate, plus we're paying somebody to haul it to the dealer, and we gotta pay somebody to go up and load it up and bring it back when it's ready. That's all money that someone normally doesn't look at. And the pure fact is, you know, we're trying to work every department into a rotating basis. You know, the ambulance, we rotate everyone, try to get a new one each year. Fire trucks, we rotate equipment. Police department, we rotate equipment, and we're trying to get it on a rotate so we don't get caught with that. You know, if it's gonna be you said $11,000 in repairs is what they seen.
They project it could be $11,000 in repairs.
Right. They project it. Could have half that next year and half the next year. Depends on how many years you're gonna go. Well, that's all money you spent when it could have been a machine that's got warranty on it. And yeah, you pay a little extra for the warranty or whatever, but if a hose blows out 3 months after you buy a brand new one, that's covered. The warranty's gonna cover that, plus any maintenance, and so, to me, it's, yeah, years ago, we probably didn't, all we did was fix. You talk to the guys that are in the shop, and they go, we spend more time in the shop fixing stuff because we're too cheap to buy stuff and use it the way it needed to, and we've changed that. So, I'm gonna lean with, going with the new one. It's coming in 20-some thousand under budget.
Because it's in budget, doesn't mean we have to buy it.
No, that's right, but it all depends on which way you do your math. If I personally owned it and it was gonna cost me 11,000, I'd be looking at changing it out, because I can't afford that.
11,000 is hypothetically a number. It's not a number that you can count on.
know, it's
It's
a
not a
high-
number you can bank on.
Right?
But if they said that's what they gotta stick into it, they're the experts that fix this stuff. They're gonna know, yeah, like you said, it might be inflated to get them to trade, but, you know, it's gotta be within 10% of that. It's not gonna be half of what they said, because
Right.
they're not gonna do that.
So if I'm looking at my normal maintenance budget and I take it in and say, if you were going to fix this up so that it was like new or in good shape, tell me what you would do. They're going to tell you everything from A to Z. And they're going to tell you, well, this is at this life expectancy, this is at this, and they're going to cover every bounds. And then you're going to go back, you're going to evaluate that list of 10 things, and you're going to say, well, based on what you're telling me and our type of usage, our type of maintenance, I think we're going to do options A, B, and D, right? You're not going to, I don't think anybody taking a thing in for just general maintenance is going to fix every item that they list because they think it might go bad. They're going to do that over a period of time, over a set schedule, over we ain't going to take it in tomorrow, Scott, and say, well, we're going to have it fixed up based on what they say, and we're going to spend $11,000. At least I sure wouldn't be doing that if I was running a budget.
Well, obviously, we know that, but I mean, it's like, so the pure fact is how many years do you run it to when you don't get nothing for the trade-in, then you get stuck with the 90s, 70s.
Fair enough. I think I'm
You
okay
know,
with it.
okay,
Let's move
so,
We do fix a considerable amount of things in our shop, just so you guys are aware. 2 years ago, we had an axle issue with one of our dump trucks that we brought to ream several times, several $10,000 repairs, and it happened for a third time, and we actually ripped the axle out ourselves and put a whole new used axle in that truck, all in-house. So if we can fix it and we think it makes sense to fix it, monetarily wise, we certainly will.
You have the staff to do it. That's fantastic.
Yes.
Just so you know, that's great. You got great people.
For sure.
okay. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the purchase of the tool cap from Swanson and then the 2 attachments from Farm Right in Long Prairie.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Heidi, you'll second it. Any more discussion? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 3 in favor, 1 against. 7D, approve resolution 2026-29, authorizing sale of excess equipment.
So Public Works Supervisor entered excess equipment into the state min bid online process for sale with the following results, and this is equipment that would otherwise be scrapped. We had a Pepsi vending machine, gas generator, 2 pallets of signs, and then there was a floor scrubber added to that as well, for $260, $55, $290, and $301. So that money will go through that system, and then we'll receive the money, the funds back minus a commission. So it's just a good way for us to get rid of excess equipment and comply with competitive bidding law. So I have Resolution 2026-29, authorizing the sale of that excess equipment.
Okay, questions, concerns? Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2026-29?
I'll make the motion to.
Motion by Heidi. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Scott. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7E, approve resolution 2026-30, authorizing purchase of ambulance equipment.
So the capital plan for the ambulance includes the purchase of new monitors for the rigs. The initial plan was to replace 1 monitor each year for 3 years, but Director Zales solicited quotes for 3 monitors so that all 3 rigs would have the same equipment, and he will be able to explain that a little bit in more detail. We had bid from Stryker, and then once you add the shipping and handling, the maintenance agreement, less the trade, we're at about $154,535, and then Zoll has a different type of equipment, and that total was $157,201. The department is requesting that we purchase from Zoll for the Xenix monitors, and I'll have Mr. Zales come up and kind of explain the justification of why he feels that's more beneficial. The difference in the total is $2,666 for all 3. So if we purchased all 3, that would be the difference between the low bid and the proposal that he wishes to purchase. There is some, yeah, I'll let Brian come up. There's some technology parts here that I'm not real familiar with.
Welcome. I do want to apologize again for those interruptions with my phone. Well, I'll start with the purchasing the 3 over the 1 monitor that was originally in the capital budget for this year. Currently, our monitors, the 3 that we have, one is 8 years old, one's 11 years old, and one's 15 years old. We've got some pretty good use out of them with the expected life expectancy of 8 years. So we're looking pretty good on that. It is time. One of the reasons, again, if we buy them all at once, we'll have the annual increases, the manufacturer's typical annual increases for the price of the monitor every year. We'll be saving that cost. This is a piece of equipment that we use on every single call. It's like the engine of what we do. It's everything that we do. And if it's a critical call, I want our people to not to have to think as much comparing different equipment. If we have 2 different monitors, they're used differently. So I'd like to have something standardized throughout the fleet. Our consumables would be different since there's different pieces and parts to each different monitor. And it'll add some chance for error to happen if we have the wrong consumables with the wrong monitor. Try to prevent that. A little bit of cost savings if we do all 3 over 1. I mean, I mentioned the annual price increase, but we also have purchasing 3 as a group is cheaper than 1 individually. So it's a couple $1,000s for each manufacturer. Then my recommendation over the Zoll over the LifePak. Personally, I've used LifePak my entire career. I'm partial to it, but I recommend the Zoll for one is interagency compatibility. Everybody around us uses Zoll monitors, so our pads, everything else will work with it. So all we got to do is just switch them. Second, when we demonstrated the 2, we found the Zoll to be easier to use. Just all the button pushes and menus were a lot easier to use on a Zoll. The technology that Vicki mentioned, it's called Zoll BVM Help, or Real BVM Help. It's technology built in the monitor that helps optimize when we have to brief for somebody and also ventilations. ventilations and compressions, I'm sorry. And having said that, the fire department I was with in Colorado recently purchased monitors with this technology. They run about 50,000 EMS calls a year. They saw an 11% increase in cardiac arrest survivability. That's not Zoll numbers, this is real numbers from the EMS chief that I spoke with from the department. So we average about 10 cardiac arrests a year. If we can save one more person, I'd be happy with that. Personal experience I've had with the Zoll algorithms interpreting cardiac rhythms, I feel I'm pretty good at it. I had one the other day where I didn't see it. The monitor called that the guy was having a heart attack. I was talking with the cardiologist on the phone. He didn't see it. We brought him to the hospital. He ended up having a heart attack. And we got him to where he needed to be quicker with that technology as well. And that's about all I have. Do you have any questions?
Questions?
Reason for the 2,200 shipping and handling on the Stryker versus no shipping and
sorry?
handling? There's $2,200 of shipping and handling for the Stryker versus nothing listed for the Zoll.
I'm guessing that's just what the manufacturer is billing it
Offer
out.
free, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, I see the difference on 3-year maintenance agreement.
The maintenance agreement, yeah, again, that's gonna be manufacturer specific on the PM agreement.
Okay. And if I understand right, there's only a 50,000 that was budgeted for one monitor.
Correct.
And you're asking for 3.
For 3, correct.
Okay.
So where's the funding come from?
Well, the ambulance is always
Self-funded.
come from its own revenues.
We're self-funded.
And stuff like that.
The revenues, the funding is there.
So that was my question. I know it's self-funded, and I know it all comes directly from the ambulance, but I'm just wondering, do you have those extra funds
Yes,
to
we do.
cover this at this point?
We have enough, and we still have enough to cover operating expenses for the year if we didn't catch another dime.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns? Otherwise, I will look for a motion to buy 1 or 2 or 3 or none, whatever your wishes are.
Just a question for Vicky on the resolution, Vicky. You have, it looks like we're missing something, because you have $6,000 difference just about in the resolution, but you have,
Because I got updated prices today. So the
Right.
staff report, the newest staff report that you got tonight are the final numbers. So the resolution will be adjusted.
thank you, all right.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the purchase of the equipment,
Of,
of the 3, of the equipment as requested,
okay, of Zoll,
of Zoll.
okay.
Yes.
A motion by Brad to purchase all 3 from company Zoll. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Last minute discussion. Call the question. All those in favor signify with saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Motion carries 3 in favor, 1 against. Motion carries. 7F, approve resolution 2026-31, approving plans and specs, author's second edition.
The final plans and specs have been prepared and submitted for final approval for the Authors Phase 2 construction project. The initial estimate for construction, including engineering, is $1.38 million. The project includes the development of 20 residential lots as an extension of Hendricks and Kennecott. The second Authors Edition pond will also be constructed as part of this phase, which will also serve other phases, but it has to be done now. If the City Council approves, they'll go out for bid, with the bid opening on May 14th and a potential award on May 20th. And then the lots could then begin to be marketed at that time. That plat has already been recorded, and they're good to go, but we're not going to market them until we know if we're going to do the construction itself for the road.
Right.
I did send out to you in advance copies of the plans and specs. If you have any questions about those, Keith is here to answer any questions you may have. Otherwise, I have Resolution 2026-31, approving those plans and ordering the advertisement for bids.
Questions? Concerns?
I got questions.
Yep.
I know we've talked about construction projects, and we did a large project last year. I think this year we just talked recently about having an off-year construction, not doing a big project. Now, here we are, $1.4 million project in front of us, And next year, we're gonna have another $7-some million project. 2028, we're gonna have a $10 to $15 million project, or greater,
Odds, yeah.
or more. Where do we ever take a break? Just ask.
Well, first of all, I don't want to belittle it, that this is small, but this is kind of like a fill-in type project. We hadn't anticipated the 2027 project. We thought that was going to be combined with 2028. So that really was going to be our off year. This year, we were going to finish up Birch and Pine and some smaller stuff, and then next year would be off. We just had to take that 28 project and divide it into two. This will not be a bonded project. We're proposing this to be an interfund loan like we did with the first phase of Authors and then the Elm Street project. So basically borrowing the money from ourselves, from another fund and authorizing it. And the reason that the EDA is proposing this is because of how active the lot sales have been in the first Authors edition and the demand that we have for more lots. So more lots, more houses. So that's why they're recommending going forward on it now. Initially, when we first did that phase, we thought we'd do one and then do another one in 5 years. We're a couple of years ahead of schedule from what we initially thought would happen. But that's kind of the gist behind it, was to get more lots on the market.
And so the 1.4 million, there's a significant cost to the utilities for that
No.
project? Not at all? Nothing?
On a new
So nobody's going to
development,
pay for
the
no
utilities
utilities?
don't pay anything.
What's that?
On a new project, we're the developer, so the developer pays and not the utility. They just pay for repair and reconstruct.
So we're going to cover the entire 100% of it in-house?
The only part that the public utility would handle would be the electrical, running the electric. And they do that separate from this project.
We hear frequently from the utilities that we do too much, we're spending so much money, and they're costing them so much money. So I'm just curious, can they afford it?
We have ways of funding it and doing it. It just needs to tweak how they do things now compared to how they used to do it years ago. It's easy to say, but you, at the same point that we're doing all this and it's costing us this, this, and this, they're also at the same time, all them people are saying, we're finally catching up to what should have been done 20 years ago. And now it's costing us more. So the same people that are saying you're spending a lot of money doing this and this, but it needed to be done, so.
And this revenue will come back in tax
Yeah.
base as well, too.
Yeah.
Well, and the EDA and the council at the time when we did the first didn't plan on having all 19 lots sold in 1 year or 2 years, whatever it's been.
And who knows how much this project would have been if we, or could be in the future if
Right.
we hold off.
Just with the lots we sold already, the land is paid for. So,
So is it the right position of the city to be developers?
Typically not, but you'll find more and more cities doing that now because developers can't make money at it. You don't see, even other cities are starting to kind of do this as well because that's how they can get new houses, because the upfront cost is just too much for a developer. They don't have a good enough profit. Where I don't need to make a profit, I just need to break even. But a developer is going to have a certain amount of profit they're going to want to be guaranteed in order to jump into a project like this, so they just don't do it. Without some incentive from the city, well, then we're putting money out, at least here we're going to break even.
Well, and even that, the future, the tax return, this is, developers don't get to collect tax on their sale property, so, long-term, short-term heartburn for long-term gain.
the same question was asked when we got into the first phase, whether or not we should be developers or not. And like Vicki said, there was no developers out there unless they can make money off of it to do it. And we considered, the council at the time, forward-thinking enough that, let's do this and expand the city, increase our tax base, because if we increase our tax base, everyone else's taxes won't go through the roof. And so that's the reason why it was, and basically now we got a need yet for housing. And we have the ability to do it, so.
looking at the project, we're looking at proposing the center portion of it, it appears, what's left. Is there a reason why we do the center and not the outer areas?
We're doing the east side. It has to do with how the sewer and water flows and where the stormwater has to go. So, we have to connect this one next because the sewer will flow south and it'll also go toward Kennecott to the east. And then the next will hook into that.
So we're taking on the bulk of the costs on the front side on this.
And on the phase one that we did was probably the most expensive phase, and then this one will be because we're putting in extra storm. This includes
Yep.
another storm pond and the pipe that'll bring the water from the other phases.
And then we also do this, we also kind of are the seller, the agent also, right?
We are.
So, you know, are we also getting into the business of being a sales agent?
Because we own the property, we can sell it. The EDA will be looking at whether or not we should list it for sale with a real estate agent or whatever. At this point, we've just saved those commission costs and it's just stayed with the EDA.
And actually, realtors in town have been bringing people to the city for it, so it's actually a win-win for both.
Yeah, we did put out there, if a real estate agent has a buyer, that if they bring that buyer to the city and it closes, that we would pay them a commission. So,
Well, I think there's always been a reason a political city, a government agency does not get into the private industry.
true.
I mean, that's just life. And so we crossed that path some time ago and it looks like we're continuing on. So I just asked the questions.
Well, I'd be happy to work with a developer if they want to front the cost.
Yeah, if there's somebody out there with the money to do it, go, show up on the door.
Why would they if they're going to compete with the city?
They wouldn't be
They wouldn't be
competing, we'd
competing.
hand the project to
Would
them.
we?
They
Would we?
what?
We don't know.
Well, there's my question. Would we?
Depends on how much they want
All
to
right,
make
that's
money
the
off.
point.
Pure fact is a lot of things have changed in 20 years.
Well, when we purchased this land initially, we got a good price on it, and we had a sizable donation from Rural Felling Trailers, and Sauk Center Opportunities.
Right.
So we were able to fund the majority cost of the land itself. So that was a big driver in us pulling the trigger on doing this.
I think the EDA and I'll include myself on it is, I want to see the city grow and be someplace somebody's happy to come to and live in and not go the other direction. So,
What's the other direction?
not fixing anything.
Oh, okay.
So, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2026-31?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Heidi,
I'll second.
and a second by Scott. Last minute discussion. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 3 in favor, 1 against. 7G, approve Resolution 2026-32, accepting quote for park building repairs.
This is the park building, the park maintenance building that's located in the campground. If you recall, in the budget meeting, we talked about getting that new metal siding and roof with the windows and the doors. We had a timeline request of June 1st of 2026 completion, and that's because it's located in the campground, and once June, July, August happens, we don't want to have a lot of construction happening down there. We did get 2 bids for materials, 2 bids for labor, and 2 bids for overhead doors. Kramer Lumber and Worms Lumber bid the materials with a low bid of $84.7102 from Worms. We had 2 bids for the construction from Steve Mortz and Worms. The Steve Mortz bid was $850 lower, however, they are unable to make the June 1st completion date. They wanted an August 31st completion date. He was upfront with that when he put the bid in. And then we had bids for the garage doors, the overhead doors, and the low bid there was center garage door for $52.86. So if we take those bids, the total is $26,407.62, and that is if we do the Worms construction labor that meets the June 1st completion date. So that's Resolution 2026-32, accepting those quotes.
Questions, concerns? Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2026-32?
I'll make a motion that we go through Worms for the lumber and the construction, and then center garage door for the overhead doors.
Okay, we have a motion by Scott. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Brad. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. 7H, approve Resolution 2026-33, authorizing disposal of excess vehicle.
The police department has in its possession an abandoned vehicle and are requesting it be declared excess and authorize its disposal. It's a 2000 Pontiac Sunfire. I did put the VIN on there. This is just one that's going to be disposed of. It has no value. So this is to approve Resolution 2026-33, declaring it excess and authorizing its disposal.
Questions or concerns? Otherwise, do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2026-33?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Heidi. I'll second it. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Unfinished business, fueling system.
Just an update on that. That was be the fueling system to be put down at the shop. We did receive quotes for that installation, and that is for 2 above-ground tanks along with the fueling cabinet and software. The cost will be shared by the public utility and the city. The city will purchase the fuel, and at the end of each month, it'll allocate to each city department, and the PUC will be billed for their share according to the pumping records. The public utility was going to review its proposal, and we'll bring it before you. I understand the public utility did approve it at their last meeting, so I'll bring the actual numbers and everything to you at the next council meeting. This just kind of update you where we're at with that.
Okay, any questions on that?
That'd be so nice.
Okay, then we'll move on to 10th Street speed control.
If you remember at one of the prior meetings, we had a request for some speed control on 10th Street. So we put the sign out there, the speed monitor, and then we did get a vehicle speed report. If you can kind of see that, it's kind of small, but the little dots just mean they detected a car going at that speed. That went from March 18th to April 8th. There was a couple days that I think the battery was dead, so we didn't record a day. The average daily volume over that period was 371 cars. The average speed was 14.4 miles per hour, with 98.5% or 365 traveling below the posted speed limit of 30, and the remaining 1.5%, which calculates out about 6 cars, were traveling over the limit. The police department has been monitoring the area to try to catch whoever is doing that excess speed. It just kind of gives you an idea of what that machine will do. I guess you just had a request from the mayor tonight regarding Park Road. Maybe that's our Hickman Road. I guess that might be something they can put out there, and we can see what the traffic is really doing. Because I know when you see it, it looks like it's going really fast. Is it really? And so it gives us an idea. So this is just information only. I don't think it really calls for an adjustment to the speed at this point. And unless you have any questions, Ben and Joe can both explain a little bit better how it works.
Any questions on that?
The excluded speeds greater than 40 miles an hour, has that been an expressed concern of the neighbors? Do they think cars are going that fast?
No, so for the report, there was a couple that came in at 90, but I can assure you that that was bad reading. So that's why we, when we did this graph, we excluded those speeds greater than 40 miles an hour.
Not that the sign excluded it, like didn't record it, but,
It recorded stuff, but for whatever reason, that radar is imperfect on something, so it gets a weird reading, and then it'll be super high. We got a few 90s, a few 80s, a few 70s, so we
We're not
just
gonna
said.
get going past up that stretch.
Take out of the report. It was not a considerable amount, but it cleaned up the numbers and made it a better representation of what is actually occurring.
okay.
But I did talk to Armand, the manufacturer of the sign, about that, and they said that that's common, that they'll get some excess speeds that aren't actual reading the cars.
Okay.
One of the things is to add to that is that reads where it's placed was picking up vehicles on Beltline. Because,
So little, reading for some of those speeds, that's radar. So yes, if a vehicle, we see a lot of like semis, even in our squad car, where we'll get a blip of like 90. What it's doing is that radar is bouncing off something else metallic, or sometimes if you catch one in our squad cars, if it's interference not to be, ours is a tone to it. I suspect the radar that's in the sign is a little bit, it's a little bit cheaper, it's not as high quality as what's in our squad car. So it's not uncommon to get blips like that once in a while. Could be weather, could be weird reflection, so, and from what we've seen, what I've seen too, even like 35 miles an hour on a side street like that, that's fast. So when you're standing outside and you see someone and you're used to, I'd say your typical, especially side street traffic, typical speeds, they're probably, let's say 15 to 25 miles an hour. That's what people are used to. So when you're outside and all of a sudden you see that one going by at 30, then 35, maybe close to 40, a lot of people are like, oh man, they're going 50. It seems like that because you're so used to the traffic, but yeah, is there some cars that are going too fast down 10th Street? Absolutely. Is there some that are probably at 40 at some point? Yeah, probably. But like I said, is it worse there than anywhere else from what we've seen? No. That's about the same. Anywhere you go, people driving too fast sometimes. But I think when we put that speed sign out too, it helps people realize, that, hey,
They're watching.
let's check it.
Well, the reason why I mentioned that is because since I drive school bus and I turn off a belt line onto 10th, I barely even get straightened out to come down 10th. And I can see the speed monitor telling me what's speed, and that's 2 blocks away.
And also think about that speed monitor where it says like average speed's 14. So the way that works, it takes its first reading at the first time it sees that vehicle. So you're coming off of Center Street, turning on, you're doing about 14. That's that first reading. So even like the reading of 300 and some cars per day, I think that's probably pretty high for that street. So I think it's catching, I'd say it's probably catching 2 readings on it.
Yeah.
So I bet you we cut that number in half, and they're still averaging under 30.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. New business, policy committee meeting.
So at the last city council meeting, we had some discussion regarding the future of special assessments. And so I don't know if this is something you want to send to the policy committee so we can talk about it and come back with a recommendation. I know we're going to be having a public hearing on improvements coming up. That's not the assessment hearing. That won't be till late this fall. So we have some time to talk about assessments. But I think that because of the way of the world with special assessments and how projects are funded, we probably should get ahead of that and make sure we're in agreement with what our current policy is before we do another project. So if you want to send it there, I'm happy to take it there. If you think we're good where we are, I'm okay with that as well.
What's the council's wishes? I'm thinking policy could look at it,
I would, especially when we got,
especially if there's anything they can tweak, There might be different ways of changing things up too. So,
I'm good with it.
okay, general consensus, it'll go to the policy committee. Vicky, or Heidi will have another meeting. Okay, consent agenda. We have schedule of claims, unpaid claims of $141,158. We have March checks, paid claims and payroll of $459,244.24. Gambling application for exempt permit request from Sauk Center Art Lab, doing business as 510 Art Lab for a raffle on August 29th, 2026 at 510 Art Lab. We have 4 requests from Scott Kolsky representing the American Legion Post 67. One for an application and permit for a 1-day temporary on-sale liquor license for the beer garden during Sinclair Lewis Days in the Sinclair Lewis Park on July 17th. And the fee and certificate of insurance are being provided. Another one is an application and permit for a 4-day temporary on-sale liquor license during the Stearns County Fair from July 29th to August 1st, 2026. Fee and certificate of insurance are being provided. Well, another one for submitted an application and permit for a 1-day temporary on-sale liquor license during the Stearns County Fair for August 2nd, 2026. Fee and certificate of insurance are being provided. Also representing the Legion for a 1 temporary extension of outdoor liquor permits for the permit term of 1 day on September 26, 2026 for a 5K run in their north parking lot from noon to 10 PM. Also would like permission to block off Park Road from the boat landing to Main Street. We have a request from Jessica Mossman, doing business as Crazy J's Bar and Grill, for a temporary extension of premise permit for an outdoor party on June 13th, 2026, from 8 PM to 12:30 AM. Is there any questions or concerns about the consent agenda?
Do we typically go past midnight? I'm just
12:30
thinking.
has always been.
Has it always been 12:30?
We actually changed, what did we change about that a couple years ago? Once the bar times changed, I
They
think we
wanted 1
moved it.
o'clock and we
1.
changed it 12:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Heidi. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Brad. Any other questions? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion, abstentions?
Aye.
Motion carries 3 in favor, none against, 1 abstention. Almost forgot you. Informational items.
I have a couple things, just a reminder, the public hearing on improvement on April 29th, that's Wednesday at 5:30 PM, and that's on the Trunk Highway 71 Phase 1, which is our side street connections. A hazardous waste pickup, and that's gonna add scrap metal, e-waste, mattresses, and tires, May 13th of 2026 at the Civic Arena. And the hazardous waste part is when the Stearns County comes, and they'll take your gas and your oils and your paints and that. And then we have a couple different recycling companies that are gonna come for the scrap metal and the e-waste, and then they're also gonna do mattresses and tires. So that'll be the first year that we've included mattresses and tires in that. And then also we have the Spectrum channel lineup for you. And that is all I have.
Okay.
And that went down $15.
Well, they changed it enough.
I'm just saying, it's a decrease.
Okay. Okay.
That's unusual.
Any questions about those 3 items? That brings us to the end of our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Scott. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4 in favor, none against. Meeting adjourned.